Is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 99. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Irstradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joey Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stockel. E, sitting here on a Sunday evening, NFL Sunday, wrapping up, getting ready for the MLS Next Pro Western Conference Final. Columbus Crew 2 awaits the victor of tonight's match in the final. But as I always do, I will ask you this. How you feeling, my friend?
Well, I'm beating your ass in fantasy, so
okay.
That's it always puts me, it always makes me a little chipper, Just puts a little. I mean, I expect it, it's to be expected.
Is it?
But it still feels good. It still feels good. So there's one league out of the way. We'll cross you off the list in the other leagues when we come up against you.
Okay.
Other than that, it's been beautiful out. Really enjoying this fantastic weather that we've been having down here a little bit. It's been quite nice to get out there. It's been a relaxing day. I can't complain, man. I'm just really looking forward for the game tonight. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the end of episode 98, little adrenaline rush talking about that game, and I'm starting to get, getting hyped up for tonight. So we'll, of course, recap that one after it concludes later on here on Sunday night. Jumping into a little bit of Austin FC news first, because, it's a quiet week, international break. First team season is over. We just have to play out the string here, which luckily is only one match here on Decision Day. So we'll preview that match on episode 100 coming up on Wednesday. And, I was sitting here trying to think of some sort of comeback fantasy football-wise, and I got nothing outside of I'm above you in the standings in both of the other leagues that we're in. So I guess, you're still coming for the throne in those two. Let's jump into some soccer talk here.
Couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't. I'm just, that's why I leave a lot of the shit talk to you, man. International break, though, speaking of that, we knew Leo Väisänen out there with Finland, Euro qualifying group stages ongoing, and the Finns had a big matchup against Slovenia. These qualification groups for the 2024 Euros, I believe there are 10 groups. Some of them have 5 teams, some of them have 6. I believe the structure here is everybody, it's like round robin style, home and away against each opponent. So this was a big one. Coming in yesterday, Slovenia and Finland were separated by just a single point. They are in a group of 6 alongside Denmark, Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland, and San Marino. So clearly Slovenia, Finland, Denmark, the favorites in this group. And like I said, those two teams or those two sides were separated by just a single point yesterday. Leo gets the start alongside Minnesota United striker Teemu Pukki, fresh off his 4-goal game for the Loons. But Finland, tough day for the Finns and for Leo. Leo concedes an early penalty, so in all competitions for our boy, that is a penalty conceded in each of his last 2 outings. He did play the full 90, 88% pass accuracy there. That was 71 out of 81 attempted, 2 accurate long balls with 6 passes into the final third, 3 clearances, 6 recoveries, and 7 duels won. So I think that 6.0 FOTMOB rating, I did not have eyes on this one. I imagine that is mostly dragged down by conceding the penalty because some of his other defensive counterparts or teammates there, 6.9, 6.7, and Leo's other stats looked fairly solid, but it ended up being a 3-0 loss for Finland. And so Slovenia getting the 3rd goal, just a cherry on top in stoppage time in the second half. That makes Finland a solid third in this group, and I believe 3 matches remaining. I believe one more coming up early this week, and then there will be the final 2 group stage matches next month. So hopefully Finland able to pull 3 points off here early in the week before Leo returns to Central Texas. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. It's it's good to see Leo out there getting the experience and getting the start. But certainly a bummer results-wise. And I'm sure number 23, Jean, not playing for Slovenia, but did get a call-up last year and was on the bench. So I'm sure those 2 guys, they were talking a little smack yesterday.
Yeah, better be careful. Alex might kick his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they close with Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland, and San Marino, which are going to be the 3, lesser.
The 3 bottom table teams in the group,
yes, in that group there. So hopefully they can rebound. Tough match for Leo, like you said, with the PK. But other than that, the stats seemed pretty good. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to watch this. But I'll still be rooting for Finland, man, come their next match for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we'll keep our eye on that. You bringing up that remaining schedule, that should be 9 points. So we'll see if they can sneak up there into the top 2, because then it would be fun. I'm sure it would take away from our 2024 campaign, but it would be fun to watch Leo play in the Euros next year if Finland's able to make it. So
absolutely,
yeah. Good luck to Leo on this second match of this international break coming up this week. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. Another little international type of flavor to this break for Austin. I guess just because he's on our roster at the moment, Brandon Craig. Congrats to the young man getting called up to the U.S. Olympic team training camp out there in Phoenix this week. So, I believe Olympics under 23 competition. So maybe Brandon Craig going to get out there with the Olympic team, when the games come around. But by that time, he's not going to be a member of Austin FC any longer, right? So congrats to him. I guess best of luck. Hopefully he has a good weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he enjoyed Austin for whatever he got to do here while he was down here. I'm also glad we didn't have to break the emergency GAM glass. It was a weird situation. I would like to have a little more information about what went down at the time and like what the thought process was behind getting him. But happy for him, happy for the call up, and I wish him well for sure.
Couldn't find anything on the US U17 scrimmages outside of it. Looked like they updated one of the friendlies. I believe they had a double header back-to-back set against Brazil's U17s. Looked like a 0-0 draw in the first match, and then no result posted that I could find. And that was 9 or 10 days ago now. So I was actually looking before we hit record. I was kind of looking on Instagram for any sort of clues that maybe Micah is in Colorado this evening. Mm-hmm. We'll find out when the lineup drops here shortly. But I think a 0-0 draw, obviously not knowing what happened in that second game, for our U17s against Brazil, on paper, again, we're not the U17 experts, but that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good too.
So it was kind of interesting. The Twitter admins, or just the social media admins for the club, it really looked like they forgot Leo had that game yesterday, because they congratulated him on the start hours after that match had concluded, because the admins are very clearly out there at ACL, doing some politicking out there. Nice. A lot of artists. I saw, I think Jimmy Vaughn, I think Lil Yachty. I'm showing my age, not knowing what he looks like. A couple other artists that they posted as well, with Austin FC jerseys, either on, holding them up, what have you. I think Jimmy Vaughn had the little bomber jacket on. From
Lil Yachty with some green gear, some verde.
I think you'll have to confirm that for me, because I don't know. You would know that better than I do.
I am an expert in Detroit rap. If
anybody, you are. I know.
You can come to me. I'll take a look. I'll take a deep dive, see who that is.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, it was cool to see that. And that those posts kind of drummed up a conversation between some of our buddies about that. I don't know if you had ever seen the third kit, the Austin ACL kit that was out. I don't even know if it was available for purchase at the time, but it's kind of like a white or like a cream kit. and then down this side where the crest would be is like all of the colors, like, you know, the ACL flags outside of the festival. They have those colors. So I don't. Some of the folks in LDR, we were discussing, you know, maybe that is a third kit that just hasn't been released yet, what have you. I know there was like a limited type of thing. I don't know what it was, but it would be a really cool kit. I'll show you the picture of that later, because I think there were some of those floating around on eBay, which I found interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. I definitely have not seen them, so we'll take a deep dive on that too.
Yeah. The two things really pertaining to the first team here, Tom Bogert released his post-mortem article post on The Athletic, as he is doing for all of the teams as they get eliminated. Not a ton here that we didn't already know, as, you know, the Austin FC diehard, so I don't think there's a ton that we could communicate from this article to any of our listeners that they didn't already also know. Yeah. But it was nice. I mean, he called Seba an apex talisman in MLS. I liked that categorization of number 10. You know, a lot of good talk about him and Stu and Danny and Owen Wolf. Because when you look at the awards, or we looked at the awards ballots for MLS when they came out, we realized nomination process is up to the teams. So the teams nominate guys themselves. Not super special to get those nominations, but what is really special, at least in my opinion, is getting named to the MLS 22 under 22 list. And Owen Wolf has been honored on this year's list. So let's go ahead and check this out here. I don't know. Have you seen this list yet?
I have. I know where he's ranked.
Okay.
I don't know the full list, though. I have seen it.
Yeah, so I think we could go through this list. Maybe there's some surprises on there. Maybe even some players that you and I aren't super familiar with. Alan Velasco tops the list, and apparently this is the third straight year that FC Dallas has topped the list with a player, and it's 3 different players. Velasco this year, I believe Jesus Ferreira last year, and Ricardo Pepi before him. So yeah,
it's pretty good.
and you know, a credit to our rivals there and what they've done with their academy over the last decade. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we know all about their academy and the talent that they can crank out of there.
Yeah, Benjamin Kramaski here at number 2. I know, you know, both of us are a fan of him. I know you took a liking to him after we started watching a little bit more Miami mid-season. I was personally a little bit surprised that he was that high up on this list, because there's some other really big names here. But I think that just goes to show how highly people around the league think of this young guy for Miami.
He's a fun talent. He's a good player. I'm also surprised he's 2, because like you said, there's some really good players on this list. And when we get to Owen, you know, there was some talk online about him being, can I tell you where he is, or are we going to do like a reveal here?
No, you can say. You can say.
Okay, so he's 18. Yeah. Owen's 18th. So like people were kind of scoffing at that, and it's like, yo, you need to look at the actual list of players who are on this list. Like, these are some of the brightest talents that we have in MLS. So a huge accomplishment for Owen, and man, it's still fun to look at just from the wide perspective, the wide lens of MLS and as an entire entity in its own, with all this talent, all these players. It's awesome.
Yeah, and so I think the qualification here, the player has to be 21 years old or younger by decision day this year. You know, if you turn 22 this coming Friday, not eligible for the list this year. So you see 21-year-olds kind of littering this list. Aiden Morris at 3, Noah Buck, who just recently made his, I believe, debut with the English youth national team across the pond. Brian Gutierrez, John Tolkien, unsurprisingly there. You know, he's one of those 21-year-olds on this list. McGlynn, I imagine McGlynn has been on the U22 list for, this is at least the second time, if not more.
Tolkien's the one I'm surprised isn't higher.
Yeah. I mean,
because like he's a stud.
And I wonder if the voters, like, because the voting for this, I believe, was September 5th through 7th last month. I wonder if the voters knock some of these guys for being 21. Like, do you think Kramaski maybe gets higher on the list because he's 18? I wouldn't think that's how I would vote. You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Rounding out the top 10, Cade Cowell, Caleb Wiley. It's one of those 18-year-olds on there. And then Diego Luna, who came not originally, but to RSL from El Paso Locomotive. Getting into the teens here, Facundo Farias, Talis Magno, who's another 21-year-old, Dylan Barrero there with the Revs. You notice some of these teams as we're scrolling here, Jalen Neal from the Galaxy. Some of these teams have multiple guys, even in the top 15.
Yep. There's Juan Mosquera.
Pedro Vite, Chris Brady, and then you come to Owen Wolf at 18. And so Owen, just 2 players on this list are younger than Owen.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's by a matter of days.
Yeah.
So again, to your point earlier, I think that shows just the promise that this kid has and why. I mean, we've been kind of saying some of the detractors, right? People who, for lack of a better term, just shit on this kid and don't. You got to keep perspective when we're talking about this kid. And again, there were certain points this season where you and I definitely thought, okay, like let's give him a rest. He's clearly like hitting some sort of wall here, but all in all, man, he is the most promising piece we have in terms of youth assets in this club.
Yeah, I mean Danny too, but
Danny's 23 though. I mean, it's a 5-year gap between those kids.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's not a knock to Danny. I'm just saying that's a completely it's like a whole generation of prospects difference.
Yeah, that is a big tier. I love this last little sentence here. If he improves 5 to 10%, he might end up in Europe. Like, what the fuck does that mean? But
right.
Look, Owen had a really, really solid season. Taking everything into account, some bad mistakes that stick out, and those oftentimes do when you're recapping a season, particularly one that did not go very well. But other than that, man, he just had a really solid year. He stepped up at multiple positions. They mentioned it here. He went from an encouraging prospect to a locked-in starter, somebody who we could feel good about starting. And then, throughout the course of a very long season, he also had international duty. So, throughout the course of a very long season, you're going to want to get him some rotation and make sure that, he's as fit and rested as he can be. But, I mean, he's on the short list of guys who had good seasons for us. He's on a very short list of our roster of players that had years that, you would want from them, at least up to their own expectations or standards. So awesome job by Owen. Happy he's on here. And like you said, this means a lot more than just being like, oh yeah, this is who we're nominating for MVP, even though we won 8 games. So it's this is much more respectable, and I'm happy for him.
Right. Like everybody nominating their coach, and then 2 of the coaches that are nominated for Coach of the Year being fired before the list comes out. So.
I mean, if you just took off the last name, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Or if he's on any other team, nobody talks about it.
The tune would be so different about this kid. And for what he had to go through this year, and to listen to your dad getting, dragged through the mud all the time, having to deal with people coming after you just because, your last name. In the long run, all of those things will be very beneficial to his professional career. And I thought he handled things really well this year.
Behind him, finishing up the list, Bernard Camongo from Dallas, Diego Gomez. So Miami with 3 guys on this list, 3 in the top 20 there. Daniel Edelman, who we saw playing for Red Bull a few weeks back, and then Cudi Pietro, who we saw at Q2 just a few weeks ago. Oh my God, So we're recording this as the NFL afternoon games are finishing up.
No.
All we had to do, in the sneak peek of the bets later, all Philadelphia had to do was beat the New York Jets for us to hit the 6-way teaser. Apparently, Philadelphia has lost. So no more unbeaten teams in the league.
Holy smokes.
First time the Jets have beat the Eagles in franchise history. Okay, closing out here, just this list, man. I mean, 14 of these 22 players came from or participated in an MLS academy along their way to the first teams that they now play for. So I think that's pretty cool, and again, promising for the youth development here. in the States. And also, like, I know that Owen Wolf spent a few months in our academy before getting signed to the first team, right? So it's not like we can this is not the kid we raised through our club since he was 12 or something like that. But it's nice to have somebody on this list, because with 3 from Miami here, and then you see on the notes 2 from Chicago, Dallas, New England, and Red Bulls. There's a number of teams in the league that have nobody on this list. Almost half the teams in the league don't get anybody on this list. And so, again, I think, you look down the line, who else do we possibly have that could make this list coming from our academy? We could sign a U22 and they could make this list. But, man, it's like Micah, and then we're waiting.
How old CJ?
Yes, I guess CJ. Yeah, true. I didn't even think about that.
CJ would be my pick, yeah. Next year. Next year.
He's got 2 more seasons for that. So I think I will amend my statement. CJ probably has the best chance to get on this list. So yeah, hopefully. And we'll see. Congrats to Owen again. That is a significant honor in this league for a young player. So we like to see that.
Absolutely.
All right, E. Well, we're gonna go. We'll take a break here. We'll go watch the Western Conference Final. We'll come back, talk about the lineup, talk about the game, and see if we're writing our Austin FC 2 postmortem or excited for a title game next season. And while we take this break, we'll try to shake off that loss by the Eagles there, man. That was really going to help the units.
That was going to be very good for the units.
All right, everybody. 4 hours for us, 5 seconds for you. We'll see you guys on the other side. Well, that was worth staying up for. How about that, awesome. E? Austin FC 2, your MLS Next Pro Western Conference champions. Feels good, man. Feels good. Congrats to those boys.
Dude, what a fun game. And for a team that has really shown out all season long, to get to the cup, have a chance to win it, fantastic.
Yeah, man. Let's just go ahead, because it is late here on a Sunday night. Let's go ahead and jump in. Lineup came out, same 11 from the semifinal. And I think, especially at this point of the season, you like to see that type of consistency in the starting group.
I mean, we were talking with RB, we were chatting about it, and you were like, who are the subs? And we didn't really have a great answer. And I was happy and satisfied that we ran with our guys, the dudes that we've been doing it with in these playoffs. And we got the job done. Yeah, it was sick.
I mean, that's kind of how it goes, right? When you get to this point of a season in almost any team sport, right? That the rotation shortens, they tighten up a little bit. And we certainly saw this tonight. The welcome surprise, or not so much a surprise with CJ. We had heard he was expected to be off the bench for this team tonight. But as we discussed earlier this evening, Micah Burton did show up. He was on the bench. And then Irvin Torres was there as well in place of Steve. So I don't know where Steve was at tonight. Hopefully he's all right. Maybe just got sick. Who knows? So no Steve. Irvin Torres was there.
What a boost.
Yeah. I mean, especially CJ and Micah, right? Coming off
to be able to bring, to be able to bring those two dudes off the bench, fantastic. So
early on in this one, man, this was maybe one of the most open games that I've seen, at least for this team, where there was no scoring in the 2 hours that we played. Really feeling each other out early. And then 10 minutes in, the feed went out. I don't know if that happened for you. It seemed like it happened for a number of people, probably everybody. But 15th minute.
It was fun. It was a fun game. Two good teams, like you said, trying to feel each other out, and not a lot of good chances to start, but still solid play in the midfield, where it's most impactful. It was. I mean, it was just good soccer to start the game.
And that's where I don't sit here and look on paper between these two teams and say that Colorado is absolutely better than us. Certainly not at every position. And we had shown before that we can compete with this team, right? Going up 3-0. And then they showed their quality coming back, at their place. And then we take the lead at home, right? And give up the 2 goals. So So yeah, man, 15th minute here, Marlon Vargas, who again, I started talking about that because you mentioned in the midfield, you have Vargas and Hanya and Larraz, and then they've got Yappy out there as well. 15th minute here, Vargas turns after receiving a pass in the offensive third, takes 3 touches and just scorches a shot low towards Damian. He parries it away for a throw. Austin ends up clearing that one out. That's how a lot of these dangerous possessions ended up for both teams tonight. 5 minutes later, I thought Sheikh Touré, and again, I don't know if I feel like I'm saying his name 3 different ways every episode now. But Touré was I thought fantastic on the night and stood tall multiple times in the first 20 minutes. And he had a tough matchup with Yappy on that side.
Absolutely. And just like a bunch of quality players up and down the field. We're talking about Bobo, like salivating over what he can be and like just watching these dudes play. And like you said, it was an open game. It was free. These dudes were really playing. It was fun to start, and like it was fun all the way through.
23rd minute here. Really impressive buildup from Colorado in transition, changing the point of attack once they reached the offensive third. And Austin was able to block Hanya's cross out, and Colorado kept possession. They worked it around back to that left side where Touré blocks another Yappy cross attempt out for a corner. And don't forget, they've got Cabral up there at the top, who was, tied for the Golden Boot with 19 goals. So this is about as dangerous of an attack as you can face at this level. On that corner, Las makes a big punch, and then Austin almost starts a breakaway, but the center back there for Colorado, I think it was Malone, was able to clear it out for an Austin throw.
Malone was solid all night.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if I could say anybody played bad out there on either team.
I don't really remember Malone though. Like he never stood out to me, and like I thought tonight he was really impactful. Damian was on it from the rip, and like we'll get to it with the shootout here, and the crowd was giving it to him, but like he was there to play, and that was fantastic to see as well. And then I was looking at what is his name on the go ahead, I gotta look it up.
Okay. Yeah, Oliver Larraz.
Like he was giving us issues the entire night, and he has a chance.
He's done that all year to us.
Yeah, dude. No, he was fantastic. And he was a huge issue for us on that right side.
Huge opportunity for us here in the 26th minute as a wayward cross like lands near Bobo right in the 6, and he's able to poke it towards the net. And it gets gobbled up by the keeper. But Bobo, I think, and you kind of mentioned him earlier, or us discussing him, like I think he's shown this throughout the season in spurts, but tonight I felt like, I think both of us agreed that like his composure and his maturity on the ball when he finds himself in various scenarios in different positions around the field like that, I thought he really shined tonight in that respect.
I think it just looks different with him when he's in those situations where like he's composed on the ball, somebody's coming at him, he sees the next play, he anticipates things well. I would, like we talked about it, like you said, maybe dark horse for the first team. Like I would love to see him in a bigger opportunity.
Yeah. 30th minute, sloppy Austin turnover here starts a Colorado break, and Hanya is going down that right side. Sal giving chase here. Damian ends up blocking it out for a corner, but looked like he got hit below the belt there as kind of Hanya and Las and Sal all came together. That ensuing corner sees the most dangerous chance, I thought, to that point was a glancing header towards the back post, and Damian fully lays out. He doesn't get to it, and it goes just wide. But again, it was an up and down game. Both teams had those kind of like half chances, but nothing, at least to this point, where you were saying, okay, like somebody should have scored 35, 36 minutes in here.
Yeah, and like you look at the final stats, and it's like we have 2 big missed chances, or is it 3? At least 2. And the first one doesn't come for a little bit here, and like we weren't super threatening, and this was their best look, but Damian was on it. If it was on target, like that's a save. Yeah,
I agree. And you mentioned the big chances. No big chances created for Colorado, 3 for Austin, and all 3 missed. So playing like the first team for at least for a little bit here. 40th minute here. Cristo Vela, draws a yellow card. on Laraz here, and this was a good acting job, I thought, by Cristo here, because it was pretty soft, and he baited the hell out of that ref.
Yeah, like his uncle.
Yeah. 41st minute here. Bobo has a cross that finds Val really at the top of his jump here, and Val can't flick it on frame, and that goes out for a Colorado goal kick. 3 minutes later, Val back in the mix here. He whips in a great cross, and David, it falls to him on the backside. Oh. And a good run by Bobo here, and the announcers highlighted it on the replay to open up the space for David to have this chance. I think this was the one big chance created that FOTMob credited us in the first half, because David is pretty much him and the keeper, and credit to Rodriguez. Rodriguez on Rodriguez action here. Their keeper makes a good save, and I think David can do better. We've seen him do better, and I think he's going to do better next Sunday.
Tough ball.
Yeah, for sure. It was not a by any means a tap in.
Tough volley, but not his best effort by any means.
46th minute here. I thought Colorado really came out of the half aggressive in this first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. The game, just becomes even more leggy and up and down. But both teams still, again, able to, when it looked like, maybe you're rising out of your seat because one team or the other is going on a break, the other team did a really good job to cover for each other, communicate, and kind of, sew things up at the back right before disaster struck.
I felt like they were pressing, especially in the second half. Like, they came out strong.
Yeah.
They're a strong team. Like, they're good. You would expect.
Well, we should mention they're in Dick's Sporting Goods Park. I didn't know we were playing at the first team stadium, which I think maybe to your point here, just a different environment from what they're used to playing at the University of Denver.
There was not so many people there. A good Austin contingent, though. It was great to see. Like, they gave them a few shout outs on the camera, but I felt like they were pressing, especially after it was 0-0 after the first half. And they come out strong, but still, I was more impressed with how we responded to them being the aggressor. Like, we talked about Bobo being composed. Yeah. I don't feel like anybody outside of a few errors that happen throughout the course of a game was particularly nervous on the ball. And it shows right out of the half, because we get a few stops here and we still have the chance to build momentum out of it, where it's we're not booting the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and nobody had like you said, mistakes that happen over the course of a 90-minute match, but then nobody let a mistake get to them and snowball and really affect their overall performance. 54th minute here, you get CJ pretty early on for Cristo Vela, and we like to see that. The group chat's lit up real quick for CJ coming on early. Yeah. And then Marlon Vargas gets a yellow card in the 66th minute for pulling CJ down from behind in transition. Most of the yellow cards tonight were given out just for tactical fouls or consent, I think. It was a fairly clean game for the Stakes, especially from what we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been testy. It has been testy, particularly with the last two games that we've had. But it was a clean game. It was well played. It was just good. It was good soccer.
Yeah. 68th minute here. I don't remember who the Colorado player was here in attack, but he kind of slows his momentum like Chris Paul style, and CJ runs him over. And so there's a free kick probably 15 yards outside of R18, and Laraz plays in a really good free kick here towards that back post. And it gets headed, I think, by Yappy. It was either Yappy or Malone here, and it was just over the bar. That was one of their top 2 or 3 chances on the night.
It was Yappy.
Yeah, he was there a lot.
Yeah.
70th minute here. Sal lets one get away from him, but he sprints and slides to knock it out for a throw, covering for himself. And you see that communication with Captain Joe, or it wasn't Joe, it was Charlie, running back on that left side and covering for Sal as he came out to take on Hanya. In the next minute, Colorado cycles that possession around off the throw. Yappy cuts inside on the left, and he fires a shot, but luckily right at Damien, and he's able to scoop that up. 78th minute here, Austin off on a counter. David lofts a cross in that at the end of the day, maybe that was a shot. Like, CJ and Pinot are in the area, and it ends up going out for a goal kick. But he lofted it like a cross initially, but then it was so close to going in that back post, and we know that David, he takes his opportunities when he sees them. Did you think that was a shot or a cross there? I think it was a cross, but I couldn't really tell.
I think it was a cross that got away from him.
Mm.
And I think that might be part like me just being like, I know how good he is, like on the ball.
Yeah.
I just think that one got away from him.
Sure. Well, maybe, yeah, a credit to his talent, what we've seen this year for me to say, maybe he was trying that.
I mean, CJ is a big target too. That's part of the reason
why. Him and Pinot in there.
Yeah, yes.
Maybe your best 1-2 in the front that we could have, or that we've seen this season,
Absolutely.
size-wise. 85th minute, Micah does come in here for David Rodriguez. And then in the 89th, Pinot gets into the box. His touch gets away from him on the right, and then he feels the slightest bit of contact and goes down. Nothing in it. But Micah wins it back on the edge of the area, and Touré runs onto it. He puts a loose touch on the ball. He feels contact and goes down. But then that loose ball falls to Val at the top of the box. He blasts a shot that's spilled by the keeper, and Shake is back up on his feet. He gets the rebound and sends it just over the target. There's your big chance number 2 for sure.
Yep, that was the one.
In the 89th, man. Damn.
Yeah, that was definitely the one, but it's all good.
First minute of stoppage here. Rapids 2 win a corner, and then that corner put into a dangerous area by Larraz, and Yappy heads it just wide for a goal kick. Again, Yappy showing up on those set pieces. 92nd here. Flores goes down. He gets subbed off. And that's the beginning of stoppage here in the 92nd. So kind of almost a false start to the extra 30 minutes there, because we don't really get going till like the 95th. And then in the 100th minute, Remy Cabral, yellow card for dissent. And then Joe picks up a yellow card in the 103rd. I'm pretty sure that was that was him arguing, wasn't it? It was shown late, the yellow for Joe. He committed the foul, but then the yellow card came out after he was arguing. So I don't know if it was just like they were having a conversation and then, he was always going to get it, or he said something that the official didn't like. I'm not sure. But picked up a caution there. And then in the first minute of stoppage, in the first period of extra time here, this is where Malone skying over the back line and heading this cross just wide. And man, this cross came in from like 30 yards outside the box. This was a great ball. And he had a real chance to knock this one in, and lucky it wasn't on target. Luckily,
who made the cross? I can't remember.
I think it was
because as soon as it came off his foot, I was like, oh shit, and like I was like, that's a great ball, and then Malone's in the air, and fortunate again though. I don't know. It would have took a fantastic shot on net to get past Damian tonight.
Yeah,
like
for
he
sure.
was on his shit. He was all about it. It was fantastic to see. But this was a great ball, and I was terrified when that thing was in the air.
Mm-hmm. That might have been Garcia who came on for Flores at the beginning of the first period of extra time there on the right. But I'm not sure. I think it was either Garcia 54 or Edwards 34. I'm not sure.
Okay. I was going to say in my head 53, so I think it's Garcia 54.
Okay, gotcha. Because, it came from the right, but Flores had just gone off.
Yes.
So we go into the second period of extra time here. AOC comes on for Pinot, and we were talking about heading into the first period there, talking about, like, who do we even feel comfortable putting into this game right now? And AOC was the only name that you pulled out.
Appropriate.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
he comes in. 110th minute here, multiple Austin crosses can't find their mark. And I think in this second period of extra time, Austin was the aggressor. Like, Colorado was kind of the team trying to hold on here. AOC really the only man in the box on all these crosses. So just not a ton of space for him to work with. Colorado's packing it in. Bobo had the final cross of this push, and that was probably the most dangerous. But the ball kind of ping-pongs through the box, and no Austin player can get a touch. 114th minute here, Austin on the break, putting in multiple dangerous crosses again. First from CJ, then from Bobo, but nobody able to get on the end of one. 2 minutes later, Charlie wins a corner. And Austin, I believe I counted this, right around 5 of the last 6 minutes of possession belonged to Austin. So this is right when the announcer said Austin taking the air out of the ball here. So they recognized it as well. Teray takes this corner short to CJ, and that gets whipped in eventually by Teray. And then Colorado, as they did multiple times during this game, there's a favorable bounce out of the box that starts a Colorado break. And Teray sprints back and he gets a caution for a take foul there. And I just think, like, especially these guys that have been out there almost 2 hours, really impressive energy to battle in the elevation, knowing you're not coming out and doing what they have to do, man, to keep this clean sheet.
Look, they ran these dudes into the ground last game as well. And like, it's clear that they do not trust their bench. And like I said before, when I thought that they were pressing a little bit, they ran out of steam because, again, they just did not get the end result, which is the ball behind that fucking line to get up 1-0. So I thought they ran out of steam, and it showed right here. Like there was a shift. There was a clear shift where it was like, okay, they are no longer getting chances, and they have 10 dudes back behind midfield trying to get to this like PK. So like we became the much more dominant team as this game went on. And like we didn't make a lot of subs either. So I thought that was impressive as well. So like I think the better team won. Like we were the better team tonight. Like these are two good teams. They've gotten the better of us 3 times, but tonight we were the better club, and like we 100% deserved to win this game versus Colorado.
Yep. And then closing out the extra time here, 119th minute, CJ puts in across from the right with his left, like kind of the outside of his boot there, curls it in. Bobo takes a touch. He turns, puts a shot on net. Really tough angle here. It gets blocked out for a corner. And then CJ puts in that corner. That cross bounces and goes past everybody out for a Colorado throw. And that's pretty much the end of the extra periods here. But then Amadou goes down in stoppage time, and that allows both teams to make subs right before the whistle for the shootout. So that's where we see Sam Tillen come on for Bobasi.
A very important note.
Indeed. So we go to the penalty shootout. Austin is kicking first here, and Val Noel's up first. He stutter steps, and his attempt gets saved. Rodriguez guesses right, but then it spins back after it's saved and rolls across the line. And Rodriguez scampers to his feet and he tries to paw it out of the net before it goes across the line, and it sneaks across. So Austin, Val, pointing across the line, puts his finger up in the air. He knew it.
He played it cool.
First Colorado shot goes right at Damian down the middle. What are you doing?
Terrible.
Goalkeeper of the year. Come on,
bro. He's like, they talk about it later with a shot with, I believe it was Alonso, and like reading the keeper and trying to get the keeper to go somewhere first. And Damian was like, "All right, shoot this shit," and he just kicked it right at him. I was like, "All right, thank you."
Joe steps up, buries his with ease. And then Hanya knocks his in. So 2-1 Austin after the first 2 rounds. Then, like you said, Alonso sends the keeper the wrong way. Looked like he had his eyes on the keeper the whole time. Yep. As soon as he started leaning, buries it to the other side. And then Alonso decides to stare down the children that were heckling him behind the goal. And big fan of that.
Those kids got to go to bed, man.
Yep.
You got to put those kids to Alonso. Like, go ahead. Put him to sleep. Like I did. That was cool. It was cool to see, though. Like
absolutely. I mean, the environment there, again, like you said, like not a ton of people in the stadium relative to the size of Dick's Sporting Goods Park there. But again, I really think we could get at least 5,000 people at Q2 for a Western Conference final or a Next Pro championship game.
I agree. I mean, and like they were making enough noise where Damian heard him, wanted to give a little back to it. So like that was cool. Shout out to them. Do your homework tomorrow. Get that shit done. You got algebra, you got all that shit. Take care of it.
Yeah, man. So Alonso buries his 3-1 Austin, and then Darren Yappy steps up, and Damian Loss guesses right, blocks it, and just one more time for good measure.
Wow, the best keeper in the world.
The best keeper in the world.
And then he looks back at the fans too, like, this is your guy here? This is your guy?
It was a bad take by Yappy. He was nervous. I don't think he wanted it. Ball drops and he's ready to go, and not good enough, my friend.
And then, as you mentioned, Jonathan Santillan, the important substitute in the 122nd minute, steps up, chips the keeper, walks it off. Mm-hmm. Austin FC goes crazy. Western Conference champions, 4-1 in the shootout. Hey, let's get your favorite team, right? That's your team.
Everyone's favorite team. Yeah. We're watching it together via technology, and he gets that chip, man, and like he knew it right away. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, so congrats to those guys, everybody involved. Coaches, trainers, everybody that traveled. Yep. Media team there, etc. Yeah, and we got one more to finish this run. Mm-hmm. One more to go. Man, I'm still like jittery from this PK shootout, man. I'm happy for those guys.
It's been a fun year.
And let's say this, happy for us because we get to preview the title match this Wednesday. So definitely looking forward to that. And if we're gonna play anybody out of the East, Columbus, not bad. If you're talking about storylines,
yeah, come on over here.
Yeah, well, we'll go on over there.
We'll go. We'll be northeast. We'll be up there.
We'll be there.
Yeah. Let's do it, baby. It's it's been fun. Yeah. Shout out to these boys. One more game.
Yep. Well, I guess everybody, that's we'll talk about the bets because we're not gonna put any negative wuju on the end of this pod. No, pick your head up. No, come on. Can't do anything about it. We're going to the ship. All right.
Yeah.
That'll wrap up episode 99 of the North End podcast. If you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you've got buddies who like Austin FC and like podcasts, make sure they're listening to the North End podcast. Give your friends a shout out for us. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can hit that subscribe button. That helps us grow the pod. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, the Western Conference champion winning episode, hit the like button. Push that thumbs up on this episode. Like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the Western Conference Championship of Austin FCito. We will be back on Wednesday. And as we sit here, it is Monday morning in Austin, Texas. We are back Wednesday afternoon previewing Austin FC's Decision Day match at San Jose, previewing Austin FC 2's MLS Next Pro Championship match against Columbus Crew 2, and talking about everything else Austin FC that happens between now and then. We appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 99. Back on Wednesday, episode 100. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.